Hello students, today we will see the female reproductive system. So like male reproductive system, female reproductive system can also be classified into different parts or components. Okay, so what are these components? See, in case of female reproductive system, the primary sex organ, that is gonad, is one pair ovary. So we are getting one pair ovary as primary sex organ. Now the remaining structure will be considered as accessory reproductive organs, and these are classified as secondary reproductive organs. So since lots of organs are present in this secondary reproductive organ, so we are further classifying according to their structures like this. Now one is female accessory glands. So here we will get different types of glands like greater vestibular gland, which is also called as Bartholin gland, or this is also homologous to copper gland of male. Okay, so this is homologous to the greater vestibular gland is homologous to copper gland of male reproductive system. So these are homologous structure. Now another one is lesser vestibular gland. So since this is little bit bigger in size, that is why it is called as greater, and this is little bit smaller in size, that is why it is called as lesser vestibular gland. And the last one is para-urethral gland. Para-urethral gland is also called as gland of skinning. It is also called as gland of skinning. And remember, the para-urethral gland is homologous to prostate gland of male. Okay, so this is quite common that para-urethral gland is homologous to prostate gland, which is found in males or men. Okay, now in the same way the ovary is homologous to testis. Homologous, why we are using every time the homologous word? Homologous means similar in origin. Okay, so as in case of male, testis is going to be originated or developed, in the same way from the same part ovary is going to be developed, hence it is homologous to testis. And in the same way here, greater vestibular gland is homologous to copper gland, and para-urethral gland is homologous to prostate gland in male. So these are the three glands which are present in female. Now another one is uterus and vagina. Uterus itself is having three parts. One is body and oviduct and cervix. So uterus is also divided into three components. One is its main body part, then there are one pair of oviduct and cervix is connected to the vagina. Okay, so it is a tubular structures. Now the third part is female external genitalia. Okay, so female external genitalia means the external genital part of female, which is called as vulva. So vulva is female external genitalia, and this vulva is also having different parts and components. So let us see what different parts and components are present in vulva. See, when we will talk about the vulva, that is female external genitalia. So female external genitalia is further divided into different components. So the main component is mons pubis, a thick fatty tissue pad which is covered by skin and pubic hair. So this is mons pubis, and then there are two skin foldings, one is large, one is small. So this is called as labia majora, that is major lip. Okay, labia majora is major lip, and another one is labia minora, that is minor lip. So labia majora is homologous to male scrotum. Like the scrotal sac is present in male, which is holding the testis outside the abdominal cavity. That scrotum is similar to labia majora in terms of origin. Okay, and then labia minora is here. Now at the upper junction of labia minora, a small cylindrical structure is present called as clitoris, which is homologous to male penis. Okay, so clitoris is homologous to male penis, and it is having all the structures as well as tissues similar to the male penis. Okay, only structure is small and size is small. Okay, and then we are having the vestibular part. Vestibule is what? This is the depression, or you can say the narrow space. Vestibule is nothing but narrow space present between the labia minora, and this narrow space is having opening of urethra. So urethral opening or urethral orifice is present. Vaginal opening, that is vaginal orifice, is present, and vaginal opening in case of teenage, it is partially covered by a layer called as hymen layer or layer of virginity, but this layer can be ruptured by physical exercise like cycling, horse riding, running, jumping, etc. So that is why it is not actually the symbol of virginity in case of female. Okay, so this is the different components of external genitalia. Now after this we will see the detailed structure of female reproductive system, and then we will also talk about the detailed structure of female external genitalia. Okay, so let us start. Now see, the female reproductive system that I have explained can be divided into different zones. Now the first structure, the main structure of female reproductive system is ovary. So this is ovary, and you can say that ovary is the main gonad of female reproductive system, and we can see each ovary is oval structure, and it is one pair present on either side of the body of uterus. One is on left side, one is on right side. Okay, so one pair ovary is present, and ovary is oval structure. Now there are different connections of ovary. The main connection of ovary with the uterus body by the help of a stalk-like structure called as ovarian ligament, which is also enclosing blood vessels and all. Okay, then there is a peritoneal fold which is also attaching the ovary with the fallopian tube wall on the external surface. So this structure is called as broad ligament. This structure is called broad ligament, which is connecting the ovary as well as also supporting the ovarian ligament and getting connected with the surface of oviduct. So this is called as broad ligament, and since this broad ligament is nothing but a type of peritoneal fold, therefore this peritoneal fold is homologous to mesothelium, which is found in other vertebrates to connect the ovary. Okay, now there is one more connection is there, which is called as suspensory ligament, and that suspensory ligament connect the ovary as well as fallopian tube with the pelvic wall. Okay, so that I have not drawn here. Now the main structure of this female reproductive system after the ovary is uterus, and you can see this is the main body of uterus. Uterus is also called as womb. Okay, so this is the main body. Now its roof, which is little bit dome shaped, you can see the roof is little bit dome shaped. This roof is called fundus part. Then the main body is here, and then this thick portion is called cervix. Okay, this thick portion of the tube is called cervix, which is having little bit thick wall and narrow space, and narrow space is called cervical canal. Okay, and then there's a tube, another tube which is little bit dilated, is called as vagina, and in female it is almost 4 inches. Okay, vagina is having thin wall and little bit more space, and it is connecting with this cervix. Okay, now this cervix and vagina both will work together as birth canal at the time of baby birth or birth of fetus. So this is called as childbirth canal. Okay, because at the time of parturition or childbirth, the baby has to come out through this tube structure. That is why it is called as childbirth canal. Okay, now if we are looking toward the uterus wall is divided into 3 layers. You can see I have made the 3 layers. I am going to differentiate here by making little bit dots. So these are the 3 layers are, one is this one, outer one, then the middle one, and then the red one, which is innermost layer. Okay, so outermost is called epimetrium, then the muscular layer myometrium, and then the inner unstable layer, that is endometrium, which is responsible for the implantation and support the pregnancy. Okay, so these 3 layers together form uterus wall. Okay, now from uterus one pair of oviduct or fallopian duct are there, which is getting projected from the main uterus body. So you can see this tubular part is called oviduct, or this is also called as fallopian tube. Okay, or it is also called as uterine duct. So it is having 3 names. The tubular part, which is getting projected from the uterus on each side, is called as oviduct, fallopian tube, or uterine duct. Now this oviduct or fallopian tube is further divided into different components. So what are these components? See, I am making a little bit boundary here, but actually it is not physically divided, just it is a physiological division. So this smaller part from here to here is called isthmus. And the main function of isthmus is to working as connecting band between uterus body and remaining part of the fallopian tube, that is ampulla. So this swollen part, you can see the tube is getting little bit swollen here. So this swollen part is called as ampulla. Okay, so this boundary is actually what? This boundary is the junction between ampulla and isthmus, which is called as isthmic ampullary junction. And this isthmic ampullary junction is actually the site of fertilization. So it is very quite common question that where the fertilization takes place inside the female body. So fertilization will take place inside the fallopian tube, and inside the fallopian tube it is naturally happening at the junction of ampulla and isthmus, that is isthmic ampullary junction. Okay, so this part is connecting band, which is called as isthmus, and it is connecting the ampulla with the body of uterus. Now this ampulla is little bit swollen, and this ampulla is working as suction pump. It is creating a kind of suction or vacuum pressure, okay, and then it is going to be terminated into a funnel shaped structure. You can see this is funnel shaped structure called as infundibulum. Infundibulum. So infundibulum means funnel like structure. So this is the funnel like structure which is having small finger like projections, and these small finger like projections are called as fimbriae. Okay, so the small finger like projections which is present at the brim or margin of the infundibulum is called as fimbriae. Now the work of fimbriae is what? These fimbriae are responsible to receive the egg. When egg is going to be come out from the ovary at the time of ovulation, then these eggs are received by these fimbriae. Okay, why egg is going to here, why not here and here? Because I have already told you that this ampulla part is generating a kind of suction pressure or vacuum pressure. So that vacuum pressure is actually, so this suction pressure or vacuum pressure is actually pulling the egg toward itself, and once egg is going to be attached with the fimbriae, the inside whole fallopian tube there is a cilia, and those cilia are motile, means kinocilia are there, and these cilia then propel the egg slowly, and egg is rolling inside this and coming toward the uterus. Okay, so in this way this ampulla is one of the important part of fallopian tube, because if it will not generate the vacuum or suction pressure, egg is not going to be received when it is getting ovulated from the ovary. Okay, so now let us see what are the composition of these epimetrium, myometrium and endometrium in terms of tissue composition. The uterus wall, I have told you the uterus wall is consisting of 3 layers. The outer one layer is called as epimetrium, the middle one is called myometrium, and the inner one is called endometrium, which is unstable. So endometrium is further divided into 2 components or 2 layers. One is stratum bacilli. Stratum means layer, bacillus means basal layer. Okay, so this is the basal layer, and then another layer is stratum functionalis. So this is the actually the functioning layer which is undergoing the cyclic changes during the female reproductive cycles or menstrual period. Okay, so let us see what are the composition they are having. So outermost, that is epimetrium, is actually consisting of simple squamous epithelium, plus basement membrane. Okay, so basement membrane and simple squamous epithelium is present in epimetrium. Then the main layer is myometrium, which is the thickest layer. Okay, why thickest layer? Because it is made up of smooth muscles, or you can say involuntary muscle, because smooth muscles are involuntary in nature. So involuntary muscle or smooth muscle layer is present, and this is the example of largest smooth muscle in human body. If someone is asking that largest smooth muscle is found in which part of the human body, so it is present in the uterus wall. And what is the function of this? Since it is the muscle, so that is why this muscle layer is actually responsible for the contraction and relaxation. So this contraction and relaxation of smooth muscle creating a kind of wave movement into the uterus. Okay, so the contraction and relaxation of this smooth muscle is responsible for a wave-like motion into the uterus, and that wave-like motion into the uterus is exactly similar to the wave-like motion in our gut or alimentary canal, that is similar to the peristaltic movement, hence it is also called as peristaltic movement. Okay, so one kind of peristaltic movement is happening into the uterus, which is started from the roof part. Just I have drawn the diagram, and in diagram you have seen the uterus roof portion is little bit dome shaped, and from there this wave like movement is getting started and coming down. Okay, so this wave-like movement is actually very much necessary at the time of childbirth, because once labor pain is started by the vigorous contraction of this smooth muscle, then this downward pressure of the muscle will push the baby out. Okay, so that is why this is very important here. Now the innermost layer is endometrium, which is further divided into two parts. I have told you, stratum basilis and stratum functionale. So stratum basilis is actually made up of loose connective tissue. Okay, that is lamina propria, you can say, that is proper layer. And when we are talking about this stratum functionalis, it is also having loose connective tissue, loose connective tissue, plus it is also having simple means one layer, columnar epithelium. And these columnar epithelium, some of the cells are behaving as a gland. So those cells of columnar epithelium which are behaving as a gland are called as uterine gland, which is responsible to release or secretion of glycogen rich solution called as uterine milk. Okay, so this simple columnar epithelium is also having uterine gland, which release what? Which release secretion of uterine milk. Okay, so I have told you this layer is not a stable layer, it is unstable layer, because it is undergoing the process of cyclic change during the menstrual phase. So it shows cyclic changes during female reproductive cycle, that is menstrual cycle. Okay.